The Mount Moon Review podcast, while a podcast about Pokemon, is not intended for children. You can expect some instances of adult humor, coarse language, and adult situations. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 25 of the Mount Moon Review podcast, the only podcast that drops a Master Ball at midnight instead of that big glittery thing. I am your host, the Razgrees, with my co-host, the Blue Duck Gold Duck, bringing you all the information you need to know about Pokemon in about an hour. So, Duck, this is new for us. Typically, we do this Mondays, and we do it on my Twitch channel. It's Mondays, typically at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. But we couldn't do it this Monday. We had to delay the podcast. We've done that a couple times, but we have always had a podcast come out. So rest assured, there will always be a podcast, but it might be delayed. And this week, it's not my fault.
Yeah, I think every other time it's been your fault.
Pretty close. So what the heck happened to you, man?
All right, so if you've listened before, you know that I do construction, and we're currently building a house for my boss, and he has his own road going up a mountain, and at the top of the mountain is where he's building his house, kind of like a log cabin in the woods kind of thing. And we were getting a delivery of drywall up about a 60,000-pound truck trying to drive up a wet, muddy road, and they slid off, and the back tire went into a ditch, and pulled the front of the truck so that it was covering the entire road, so nobody that had their vehicles up there could leave.
I was getting these angry text messages, and Doc typically don't swear, folks. He's not like me. He doesn't swear. And I was getting these nasty, nasty text messages with pictures of this truck. Because Duck was stuck on the side of a mountain.
So they brought a crane truck, they called it a wrecker, to come up and try to get this thing unstuck. And about halfway to where the first truck slid off the road, that truck goes over where they dug the power line, and its tire sinks literally a foot into the mud.
So then it got stuck.
So it got stuck, and there was a huge wreck in our area that all the other trucks were at. This was the only truck that was at the station. So there was no way of getting another truck to pull this truck out.
So, and if you're following the Facebook page, which is actually where we're streaming tonight, is on the Mount Moon Review Facebook page. There is a picture, if you scroll down, of the remains of one of the trucks. It did not end well.
Yeah, it was rough. They ended up getting a second crane truck. The guy who drove the second crane truck was able to get the first crane truck unstuck and get the truck out with the first crane truck.
With the what now?
Crane truck.
Say it with me, Jack. Crane
truck.
How about we just call it a crane?
Yeah, pronounce a Pokemon's name.
We just call it a crane. But you did get off the mountain, but it was quite late.
I did. It was an 11-hour day at work.
But you got paid.
Yeah, I got paid. We were stuck for about 3 hours after we decided to leave. And
you seemed like as though you were shocked that you had internet access on your phone. But even if you did, that doesn't mean you had a time to write an intro, write our format, and so we decided we were going to push the podcast back. And then we were going to do a special New Year's Day edition of the podcast. And that didn't happen either.
Right, because on my way home from where I stayed for the New Year's, I ended up getting stuck being politely eating dinner with family.
Well, at least you had a decent excuse. I'll give you that. So, nevertheless, we persevered, and we do have a podcast, and we are doing it tonight, and here we are. A little bit different. If you're joining us for the first time, we are doing this tonight on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Mount Moon Podcast. typically we do this on Twitch at twitch.tv/the_raspberries01. But then we record the podcast, we pull out the audio portion, and we push it out to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and any other number of platforms really have picked us up without even really asking our permission. So we can be found pretty much anywhere. So we're kind of a big deal. So, Duck, what have you got for us this week in the world of Pokemon?
So this week is actually a little bit starved for news, which is crazy because we're gonna do another news episode in a couple days.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be an abbreviated episode anyway, but, it is what it is. So what do you got for us?
I was hoping there'd be enough news for 2 episodes here, but so let's roll right into video game. If you guys haven't heard of it yet, there is another like holiday event where they kind of like where they boosted the Delibirds and you got extra XP candy. Now you can get shiny Magikarp with extra nuggets and items you can sell for money.
Now, I have yet to see these. I know they exist. I know you have 2 of them, I believe, already, right?
Right. That was one that somebody saved and reset, so I could get it twice.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that being said, it does run through the 3rd, and we're recording this the night of the 2nd. So if you're hearing this and you don't see them and it's past the 3rd, sorry.
But I recommend going in Mystery Gifts, downloading the updated news, and then trying to go out there and just spam all the raids you can. Like, clear out your raids that you have, and then it'll make more raids pop up, and those have higher chances of being a shiny Magikarp.
So, it's raid night, folks. Get to raiding.
Yep.
Now, typically, the times when they reset, they're on Japanese time. They're not... The servers reset sometime in the early mornings, I believe. So you're probably going to have until early morning on the 4th, if I look at it right. So
aren't they before us?
But I think the way they do things, it happens at a weird time. It might be.
Yeah, I've never actually tried. I know people were getting Snorlaxes before the date that you could get Snorlaxes.
So maybe it might reset tomorrow morning. Then I don't know. Do your diligence tonight and get your shiny Magikarps, folks.
Yeah.
I
don't think
haven't
they're as
got
common
any.
as the Delibird, though.
I'm sorry?
I don't think they're as common as Delibird was.
Yeah, Delibird was bloody everywhere. It was ridiculous how common he was. Anyway, so that's that. If you can get them, great. If you have extra, send them to me.
Yep. And then next thing for video game, which is the last thing, is that the ranked battles in Series 1 is finally over. And those who participated can receive their rewards through mystery gifts.
Yeah, that's one big thing is make sure you're always after any kind of event that you participate in, whether it's ranked battles or in the online competition, like we just had with the Galar Beginnings event. It doesn't tell you to do this, which is kind of crappy in my opinion. But you need to go into mystery gifts and just go receive gifts via internet, and it will give you, typically in this case, battle points. I know I only got like 20 battle points from Galar Beginnings. What did you get about the same there, Duck?
Yeah, I thought it was 50 for the reward.
Okay, maybe it was 50 for Galar Beginnings. Yeah. And for the ranked play, you said you got like 300 or so?
Yeah, I made it to Ultra Ball tier. I got to Ultra Ball and then stopped.
Okay.
So I think the reward was 300 for that, and then Master Ball tier was 600.
Which is phenomenal. If you get that, can. That's enough points that you can put a competitive team together. So definitely.
I mean, I've
definitely even if you compete, even if you didn't get into the Great Ball tier, you're still going to get points of some kind just from competing. So make sure you're not letting them just go to waste. Go in there and hit it and get what you need to get.
Yeah. That's all we got next. The rules for ranked series 2 is going to be the same exact rules as VGC. So they're going to be allowing those 10 Gigantamax Pokemon we talked about before. All the Gigantamax Pokemon that you can receive through games without raids, and the ones that have received boosted spawn rates.
Outstanding. So, speaking of video games, there is there's some new ones.
Yeah.
It's kind of if you want to call them that.
Heard nothing about this. I was just checking the news sources like today when I got home from work, and there are 2 video games on Facebook now. Facebook Gaming is what they reference. And yeah, they're Pokemon. So you have Pokemon Tower Battle, which is where people drop sprites.
It looks like Barrel of Monkeys.
Yeah.
It does. It looks a lot like Barrel of Monkeys. You know, the old little red toys, and you try to hang them. And you have the sprites, and you turn them, and you drop them. And I think you're trying to knock the... I don't know. I just saw the video, and I thought, it looked, oh my God, this is something that somebody had a project to make in high school to make their first video game, and this is what they came up with. That's what it looks like. It looks bad.
Yeah, it does look kind of like those games, like if the kids that were taking the online classes used to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah, it's like somebody playing around with Visual Basic, and this is what they came up with. And because I'm in high school, that's what we did. I was in graphics, videography, photography, those kind of classes, and one of them we had to do was Visual Basic, and we had to program our first game. Now we were making like trivia games, but this doesn't look much more beyond what we did. You know what I mean? It looks like somebody that had very, very basic knowledge but had a very large checkbook in order to get access to the IP. Or maybe somebody at Pokemon's Kid just decided they needed to do something and Daddy had the right signature.
The second game is called Pokemon Medallions, and it is a game. You have like Pogs, if anybody remembers Pogs.
Oh
little,
my God, really?
Discs. Yeah, so they're discs, and then on them is like some stats. I don't really know anything about how to play this, but on them is like stats, like there's like an HP or a CP, it looks like, and then they have TCG card art on them. So like I definitely recognize that's Charizard EX on the game's like main page.
Wow. Well,
I guess they say it's like Pokemon Duel. It's like a strategy game like Pokemon Duel.
Whatever it is, I'm sorry, they look rough. They look real rough.
Oh, it's only in Asia right now, apparently.
Oh, really?
The Tower Battle is available worldwide, but the Pokemon Medallion is only available in Asia Pacific, excluding Oceania and Vietnam.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that we're reading this on the fly, and it's because we are.
Yeah.
We literally just found out about this right as we hit the stream to go live, and before we hit the slates over, before you can actually see us and hear what we're talking about. Then that's when Duck found it, we started just looking. That's why I've only seen one of them so far, because we actually went live. I didn't get a chance to see the other one. So yeah, we bring you the most up-to-date breaking news possible. So
thanks, Facebook.
Thanks, Facebook, because it just happens to be that we were logged in for this. So
Yeah.
It's definitely different. We're exploring different avenues to get the podcast out there. Facebook might be a way we go in the future. I don't know. We wanted to try it tonight just to try and see if people liked it better here as opposed to Twitch. But it would like to hear from you. So if you're watching this video and you see it on Facebook, please leave comments and let us know what you think. Going forward, we're probably going to go back to Twitch for a little while, but depending on what the feedback is, maybe we'll switch. We don't know. We've been having a lot of I don't know about you, Duck, but my personal not personal, but my stream page on Facebook's been kind of blowing up lately, and so we gotta try to go to where our audience wants us to be. So this might be an option. Yeah. But okay, so moving on past the horrible mini games. What else we got on the docket tonight?
So over the week, or not the weekend, but over New Year's break, I went to another city, an old friend of mine, and I got to talking to people that are still playing TCG, and they, I used to go and win tournaments there, so they were all
Well,
surprised that I stopped.
I think you can mention who it is, and I mention where it is because they actually have a very good tournament system up there. What's the name of the league? Because I believe they changed their name last year.
So maybe we shouldn't. Well, okay, so it's in Altoona. The league has since changed. Like they changed stores, and now they're a little bit hindered by changing stores. And the old store they left because of shady business deals.
Okay, well, I mean that's
So they're
we got no skin in that race, but they have a new league now. I believe it's called Pokemon Evolutionaries, or
yes, the Evolutionary Trainers Pokemon League.
okay, and they're in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and you've had a lot of good experiences with that particular professor.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if we should mention names or not. I don't know
Well,
if she's come.
we can leave her name out of it, but she's a very prominent professor in the Pokemon
Yes.
community, and she's very experienced. I actually have gone to her for uh, insights into a lot of things in the past. So if you are in the Altoona, Pennsylvania area, look up that league and actually check it out because it's very good. But I digress. Continue, Doc.
So I got to talking to people there that are still playing TCG, and they're already looking forward into the Sword and Shield set and like what decks are going to be good. And I've made the comment that I don't see any way that Stage 2 decks can survive with what cards we've seen from Sword and Shield. And they were like, actually, check out these tournament results. And I mean, they're just League Cups, so it doesn't necessarily say that they won League Cups. It's the city tournaments in Japan. But there is actually a very diverse meta out there right now, and some of the decks that are doing well are Stage 2 decks.
See,
And that's
League Cup I think is a much better gauge of what you're going to see going into regionals because your league challenge has been so devalued by the Pokemon Company that it's pretty much just a throwaway, and leagues are struggling. They're literally struggling to get people to come in for these events. The league that I used to run up your way in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's a very healthy league, but they recently had a league challenge where they were struggling to get 4 people in there, and I believe they ended up having to reschedule. But because the Pokemon Company has devalued it so much with the stipend rules and everything else, that in that area up where you are, there is a very, very strong competitive Pokemon community throughout Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. But they just you can't get people to come in for these challenges. And the problem, if you are into competitive Pokemon, you need to support your local leagues when they have these challenges, because if they do not have the challenges, they will lose their League Cup status. So they will no longer be allowed to have League Cups, which means you're not getting those points that you need to go to League Cup for anyway. So people need to understand that, and they need to get out there. So support your local leagues, folks. If they're having a league challenge, go. If they're just having a grassroots tournament, go practice, meet new people. That's how Duck and I met. I mean, I started going to his local league, and you can say where it is if you want. And then about a year later, I decided to open my own league, and here we were. Now I've moved across the country, so it's a little bit more difficult, but we keep in touch, obviously. And it's these leagues are all surviving. In certain areas, though, that it is completely died out. Like where I live currently, there is not a league within 98 miles of where I'm sitting right now. It's horrible. I'm debating on starting a club league, but it wouldn't be able to have any premier events. So is it really worth my time? I don't know. But I digress again. I'll get off my soapbox. Please continue, Duck.
Let's see. Oh yeah, so what we were talking about, they were talking about Inteleon and Obstagoon are apparently pretty good. And the Inteleon is kind of like, this is from just the Sword and Moon base set. The Inteleon is kind of like Ninetales GX, where when you evolve it, you get to search your deck for 2 trainer cards, I think. And then its attack is also pretty decent. So it's a water and a colorless, and the attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Oh yeah, so it's 120 base damage to the active and 20 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. One of the bench Pokemon.
Okay, so I mean that's definitely one of
And
those.
yeah, it's 2 trainer cards,
Yeah, that's
so
the
it's
thing.
better than Ninetales. The catch is it's the stage 2.
So you got to get there first.
Right.
But
But with cards like Pokédoll and like catchers, like you can stall out your opponent or uh, you know, throw a Pokeball up there to take a free hit.
time to dust off the rare candies, folks, as stage twos are making a comeback.
Yeah, I guess it's enough. I can't, I'm surprised that you can't search for the specific Pokemon, but people are still getting them out. And then Obstagoon, its attack, it's kind of like the old bats method where when you evolve it, you deal damage to the opponent, and then its attack for a dark and a colorless, it does 90 damage and it prevents damage from this Pokemon on the next turn, which means you can just tank with it. So you can kind of stall out your opponent with that while doing that, like taking 2-hit KOs on most of the new Pokemon.
Okay, I mean, two hit KOs on most of the new ones. I mean, that's still a pretty good feat. I mean, but you got to get there
Right.
with the whole stage two thing now, and I don't know if they're trying to slow the game down, which seems kind of counterproductive to when they have the large events that end up dragging into the wee hours, and then you don't even find out that there's going to be a day two until halfway through day one.
Yeah, I think they're definitely gonna. I think games are definitely gonna slow down, and it seems crazy because people are still tying in 30-minute rounds with tag team decks.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a huge problem, and then you run into the whole concept of the IDs, and which I have a huge problem with. I've always said that I'm never going to change. I have a huge problem with these gentlemen's agreements that people are making and manipulating everything to get themselves and their team or their friends into the top cuts. It's really kind of underhanded as far as I'm concerned. I understand it's within the rules. I can't say anything, but don't you dare ever be the person to come crying to me saying, "Well, we had an agreement, and he didn't." Well, oh well. I have no sympathy for you at all. So look forward to
Yeah,
the
it's
long
kind of
games. Look
weird.
forward
Like
to more ties. That's all we can really
it's
say.
cool. It's cool when you're the one like, oh wow, like so I'm just in top 8 now, and it's only round. It's 2 round. There's still 2 rounds. Okay. But when you're the one who is like, I need to fight for top 8, but you're really fighting with a bunch of people for the only top 8 slot that's going to be open after IDs, then it feels really bad.
It's horrible. It's underhanded. It's crooked, and I have an issue with it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's perfectly legal.
Right.
I'll just never see me do it.
Sometimes it's just strategically better to tie.
It and the best part is I have seen it happen. I held a league challenge one time where somebody did that. They figured, I'm going to intentionally tie that way. We'll cinch top 8. One of them did. It wasn't that guy. It wasn't the guy that was all proud of it. He miscalculated it, and he ended up hitting the bubble.
Yeah, bubbles suck.
Sucks to be you. Anyway, moving on.
So that's it. There weren't really any new cards revealed for TCG. I mean, there were a couple cards revealed, but none of them make an impact on the meta at all.
Yeah, I mean
So,
it's one of those deals where we're right in a time period where we're waiting on new things to come out, so we're not seeing a whole lot of changes right now. I think at the end of January, after Dallas Regionals, we might see a change. But until then, you're going to see a lot of people playing it very close to the chest as to what decks they're playing. Uh, at this point, people are going to start winding down and playing only against people that they quote unquote trust, and then you'll see decks get quote unquote leaked, and then people complaining about decks being intellectual property, and other people arguing against that. So you're not going to see a whole lot when it pertains to the meta coming out, and a lot of people try to base this is the decks I'm playing against in PTCGO. Don't go by that, folks. That is
Right.
never accurate. It has never been accurate one time. The only time it's accurate is like the day or two after our regionals, when stuff hits on like a limit list and people start yanking deck lists. Anyway,
So that's it for TCG. The app stuff, or that's actually not boring currently.
all right. What do you got on that end?
A while back, we talked at the beginning of December. We talked about Giovanni, right? That you could do some Team Rocket research and stuff, and battle
Wait a
Giovanni,
minute. Wait
and
a
he
minute.
had
Which game we talking about?
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go. Okay.
Yes. So you could do the Team Rocket research events, and you could battle Giovanni, and you would have a chance to capture his Shadow Zapdos. Well, now it's January, and Giovanni has Shadow Moltres.
I wonder what next month's gonna have.
Probably Shadow Articuno.
Ah, no, couldn't be. That doesn't make any sense.
So I wonder once they, get done with Giovanni if they're going to roll into doing some of the other evil team leaders.
That would be nice. I mean, maybe Team Aqua makes a comeback. There's Team
Right.
Magma.
You can get Shadow Kyogre and Shadow Groudon and stuff.
That'd be kind of neat.
There's also now forgive me, I don't really know what I'm talking about here. I stopped playing before they did these, but there is a event going on called a Hatchathon.
Oh, what now?
A Hatchathon?
A hatchathon.
Hatchathon, like hatching
Hatchathon.
eggs.
Hatch-o-thon.
Yeah. And so if you turn your adventure sync on, it starts calculating how far you've walked, and once you hit 50 kilometers with adventure sync turned on, you will get double candy and double stardust when you hatch an egg.
Yeah. See, a lot of people have turned Adventure Sync off because of an update that happened a couple months ago. It used to be that Adventure Sync, at least I can test this for the iPhone. On the iPhone, the iPhone has a health and fitness app that plays in the background. It's always there. It just exists. It deals with the internal pedometer, and it will tell different fitness apps or health apps that you authorize what your steps were for that day, because everyone in theory has their phone on them like I do. And that was great because every time you logged into Pokemon Go, the game would then send a request over to the Apple Health app, which would then kick back, okay, this person has walked this distance, quote unquote, and then it would give you credit for walking that distance as though you had the Pokemon Go app open. It was great. You had these rewards for 10, 50, and 100 kilometers walked. I'd always get right around 48. I'd never quite get that 50 reward. It was pretty infuriating at times. But it really helped me hatching eggs. At the time, I was working for a job that I was on my feet walking all the time. So in the course of a 12-hour shift, I would hatch, 7 or 8 eggs. It was beneficial for me. But then there was some reason they pushed out an update, and they ended up doing away with using the internal pedometer, and it went to using GPS. So now the Pokemon Go app was trying to use GPS in the background on a regular basis, and it just, particularly on the iPhones, it would obliterate your battery. I mean, it would just obliterate it to the point where do I turn Adventure Sync off or do I get rid of Pokemon? So, obviously I opted to get rid of the Adventure Sync, and now I don't hatch eggs at all because I don't have the app on. So it kind of sucks. I see this as them trying to get people to turn Adventure Sync back on. Now, The question is, what benefit is it to them? Well, they're probably selling data.
Probably. We've already heard about that happening in Europe.
Yeah. So
they had that whole investigation that went down.
And you're gonna have your data is the most valuable commodity on the planet right now. It really is. And every company is accumulating data in some way, shape, or form. We just spoke about this a couple episodes ago about SOPA, and basically the death of Pokemon on YouTube. So you're gonna it's any kind of collection of data is valuable. So that is the only thing that anybody's able to come up reasoning behind switching over to GPS because they want to see where you're at, so they can target ads. So if you feel like doing that and turning Adventure Sync back on to get your bonus, go right ahead. More power to you. I for one won't be.
You can also get Party Hat Pichu and Wurmple.
Oh boy.
From, I think it said 2K eggs.
That's just what I always wanted.
Like a weird one.
Yeah, I wanted a Party Hat Wurmple in my life. That's what I needed.
Pichu makes sense because they've had all those events for Pikachu and Raichu, right? But you could never get those special hat variants with Pichu.
There's always been the special hat variants for Pikachu. Now you could evolve into Raichu, and it kept the hat. So if you catch the Pichu one, I am virtually positive if you evolve it into a Pikachu, it'll still have the hat.
But if you have Pikachu and Raichu in Party Hat, now you can complete the set with a Pichu that you can't catch Pichu in the wild, right? You have to hatch it since it's a baby.
I don't know. I've never seen it in the wild, so I guess that makes sense.
I thought, I mean, I could be wrong. Yeah, I stopped playing Pokemon Go a while ago, but I thought you could only get the babies through eggs.
It's very possible. I haven't been keeping up on it like that much. There's a lot of news I get from Facebook when it pertains to Pokemon Go, and it's just one of those things I've never seen a conversation about it. It could very well be true. Maybe we'll look that up for you for next week, folks.
But that's about it. There's a thing, it didn't seem like too crazy, but there's a thing that happened where the 3 Team Rocket admin leader people, they changed up their teams.
They changed up the teams, but from my understanding, they are ridiculously difficult to beat.
Oh, are they?
It's like taking on a raid by yourself.
Well, that makes sense, because it was saying that if you beat them and catch the Pokemon, then it has a chance to be shiny after you catch it. So maybe that's why it's so hard.
Most people I'm seeing online are saying, screw it, I'm not doing it anymore. It's not worth my time. Because they just can't.
Oh, it's that hard?
It's that hard.
Jeez.
And I see value in games being difficult.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's cool that they're not like catering to, like, a game should be accessible, but there should be parts of the game that aren't accessible to the average player. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, take my youngest son for example. That he got Pokemon Shield for Christmas, and he got to the his name's Alistair, I believe, the Ghost Gym leader, the exclusive gym leader. And he was having a devil of a time with him. I think about 4 or 5 times. Then he said, screw it, I'm not doing it anymore. And I had to say, okay, no, this is what you got to do. And took him back to the wild area, made him catch some stuff he needed, and just run around and battle and level up. I see value in that. If I can take a game that I'm going to pay $60 freaking for, and I can beat it in 6 to 8 hours, that's a waste of money. I want value for my dollar. Pokemon Sword and Sword right now, I'm over 130 hours into it, and I'm a light user, folks. I'm sure Duck's over 300 easily. How many hours you in?
260.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. So back off. I would be over 3 hours if I played, or 300 if I played the way I've been playing. But when I bred out my last team, I took a little break and started playing other games a little here and there.
Yeah, I see. My hours are starting to go up more because now I'm actually breeding competitively, trying to get the stuff I need because I'm still getting ready for regionals and stuff like that. So my hours are going up, but I still had 40 or 50 hours in to beat the game, and I see value in that. There's if a game's too easy, what's the point? I don't need it.
I agree, but I don't think. So here's how I have this weird opinion with games. I like difficulty settings. So like a game that I really don't like, I hope we don't catch flack for this, but I don't really like Dark Souls that much because it's dumb how hard it is.
It's like stupid hard.
I can get through and I can beat the bosses, but I can't beat the other players that invade my game. And if I die 4 times trying to get to the one boss, and then I die when I get to the boss, it's like the game mechanics feel like they're keeping me from playing the game. But it's like there's some people that can't, like they physically can't because of some kind of ailment or something that some kind of something that plagues that person, they can't hit the buttons fast enough, or they can't. Some people can't hold a regular controller, and there's a lot of games that those people like that can't play, and I feel for them very sorely. I think there should be more accessibility and stuff.
We actually have started seeing a lot of games like that, that have an ability to be more accessible. For an example, I've seen a lot more games coming out recently that have a colorblind mode that will change the colors to adapt so that somebody that has color blindness is able to play it more easily. My right hand is not the way it should be. I cut a finger off and reattached it, blah, blah, blah. Mine is, I can still function and adapt. There's other people I know. I know. Unfortunately, I'm laughing as I say it, but I have a friend who recently just lost his left hand, and he's now, and he was an avid video game player. Not anymore. Games like Pokemon, though, where everything is not speed based, I can literally play this with one hand. And I do.
Oh, yeah.
I oftentimes do. I will set the controller on my leg and I will just play it while I'm watching something. Just doing menial tasks, mind you. I'm not doing anything too in depth, but it's there, and that makes it enjoyable. It makes it also more accessible for younger audiences or people that don't have that reaction time or have a physical disability.
Yeah, I use Dark Souls as an example because a charity that creates controllers for like disabled people reached out to them and was like, hey, would you mind, is there any way we could, or you guys could program something that lets our controllers work in your games? And they said no. So that's why I
Really?
used them as
They
an
just straight up
example.
said no, go away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just no, but
Hmm.
I listened to another podcast where the guy who created that foundation was on, and he mentioned that he reached out to them and they told him no. So I don't know the whole conversation, how that went. It was probably very more formal than no, like for such
Go
reason.
away.
And a lot of players that play those games say no as well. Like they don't want that, but like you have the choice to use that kind of stuff or not. So if you want it to be hard, just choose not to, not to do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't make the game worse to have options.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy games that have a robust story to them. I don't like the ones that are just here's the game, play it, go away. I was gonna make reference to the most recent Star Wars movie, but I decided not to. So
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Star Wars game.
no,
That
I was
just
going to talk
came
about the lazy storytelling that went into the most latest Star Wars movie with that scroll right at the beginning. The first two lines of that scroll. I was like, really? That is the point of this whole movie is those two lines, and that's it. That's how we find out how the movie's starting. Okay, great. No build up. You had two other movies. You could have just even hinted at this. No, okay.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. I was gonna say that usually the Star Wars movies have an expanded thing, like expanded media to watch, so you get to find out how stuff like that happens.
Not no more, folks.
But well, no, I mean, I'm sure there'll be something that comes out now. They just didn't want to spoil it. But you're right. They could have mentioned it. They could have been a way for people to theorize that in the other two movies. That would have been okay. But
Instead, we got what we got. So
no, that's fair. But like, think about episode 3 when they're up in the space. Like, oh, the president of the galaxy got kidnapped and he's on a spaceship.
yeah.
I mean, there was a way to see all that happen, but you had to reach out and find it yourself.
Yeah, the Star Wars movie, and I don't know why we're talking about Star Wars right now because this is a Pokemon podcast. I brought it up. I get it, but they've always had a hard start. It's always been a hard start. It's no like, somebody wakes up and what's going on? I was going to go read the news. Oh no, something bad's happening. No, right. It's action right out the gate. I get it. I understand that. But there was nothing. This is out of left freaking field, man.
You're right. And I like the movie, and I agree with you. So.
And I didn't like the movies. Oh.
All right, Pokemon Masters.
Go on. You have my
I think
attention.
last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about the Solgaleo was revealed, a new legendary event, kind of like the Giovanni and Mewtwo event, where they didn't tell us who Solgaleo was going to be paired with, but it's actually one of the player characters from Sun and Moon.
Yeah, we're actually getting Rando number 3.
I don't think they're rando.
I mean, they kind of are because what's he gonna look like?
He's gonna look like the
Right. There's many options.
uh.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, it was custom. It was a customizable character. Is it just gonna be the first one, the first default character?
probably the white boy or the.
Wow.
So Elio, or Celine are their names. For those who didn't know.
So they're new characters essentially.
Yeah, similar to how Red is the character you played as in Gen 1.
Wasn't red in my game.
Yeah, right, but that can in the Pokemon universe canonically the character who went through Kanto region and became the champion was Red.
Was he the very best, like no one ever was?
No, that's Ash.
Oh.
He's the very. Oh, never mind.
No, he's really not. That kid actually sucked.
No, Red is. I was gonna say exactly. Never mind. It would have been a bad joke.
Right on. All right. So anyway, we're getting characters from Sun and Moon.
Yep, paired with Solgaleo. And then I did see hints about this like within the last week or so. Lance and Cynthia are both currently you can draw them using gems.
Yeah, they're actually in the little trainer lottery system that they have.
And they're boosted to have like a 1.2 or I think it's a 1.7% chance to draw them while all the other
Legendary.
5-star
Yeah.
draws, like all the other like really good characters are a 1% chance or however it works. I could be getting the percentages wrong. I haven't looked at that for quite a while. But
yeah,
so they're
really
boosted
kind of
odds.
after the first storyline, I kind of dropped off of Masters too. I still log in every time I know there's free gems. That being said, there is an event going on right now that if you log in, you get 2,200 free gems. Make sure you're going to where you collect your bounties and stuff like that, because if you go to the store where you can buy gems, they have 2,200 gems for sale for like $7.99 or something like that. So they do give you those 2,200 for free, but then you can also purchase more. And I think that's just trying to get you to inadvertently do that. But if you log in now, you get those free ones as well. And you'll probably end up, if you haven't logged in for a while, like I did today, I got a bunch of free gems for bug compensations. So make sure you're logging in and get your gems, folks.
I've been saving up for quite a while, like since before I stopped playing, and I have almost 20K in my main account.
My lord.
There hasn't been anybody worth trying to draw. That, in my opinion, like especially since I stopped playing, so I don't even know how the new characters work mechanically. But Lance with Dragonite and Cynthia with Garchomp is both are two pretty sick pairs. So I might just use all the gems to try to get them, and then, save up for Red from here on out, and then we'll see how many gems I have when Red comes out. Because if they keep up this track of how they're going, there's going to be plenty of gems.
Yeah.
When Red comes out.
So definitely worth. You got to make a decision. Are you going to do it now, or are you going to do it later, or are you just going to continue to not play like me?
Right. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to play or not. That's the problem. I want there to be a lot more content in it before I play again.
Because you were like,
I don't want to miss out on these.
Like hardcore when it first came out.
Yeah, I do that. I can't stand not exploring a part of something I just get obsessive.
Right on. So how's your competitive team coming along?
Pretty good. I have a team I really like. I didn't bring that to our tournament. We did over the weekend, but
yeah, we did the first annual Moon Invitational this past weekend, and
I have a couple teams. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just to say, you finished what, third?
I did finish third, and I went undefeated till the final round, but it was Swiss, so that doesn't make you second place.
That's true.
But yeah, I ended up getting third and was pretty close to number 2 with Resistance. Shout outs to Jazzy and Verge, the first and second place from
Yeah.
our chats.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess if we do it on Facebook, everybody knows everybody else's name.
Yeah, they do know their real names on if we use Facebook, but if you use us on Twitch or on our Discord, you'll those names will be familiar to everybody. They won the tournament. I think I came in 7th, which sounds like, oh wow, he didn't do too bad. There was only 7 people in the tournament, so I came in dead last. There's a guy in the chat right now, Kyle. We both used the same rental team and came up against each other, so it was a mirror match, and we just rock paper scissored it essentially. But I've got my competitive team, I think, worked out. I'm breeding it right now. Then I can play test it a little bit. But speaking of breeding, have you seen? And I know you have, but I'm saying this rhetorically for the sake of our listeners. Have you seen that you can buy 6 IV Dittos on eBay?
We actually had a discussion with Cody about this.
Yeah, so if you listen to last week's podcast, there's another streamer that was on as a special guest, HXC Cody 27, friend of the podcast, and we had a kind of an ethical discussion on what it should and shouldn't be allowed to do in Pokemon and what was morally correct and what's morally repugnant. We determined that his Ditto, there is no earthly way that it is legit. I, in the spirit of research, purchased one today, and because I wanted to examine it, essentially is what it came down to. These Pokemon are shiny, perfect IV, foreign, and have exactly 1 million XP. You did a calculation earlier as to what the likelihood of this happening is, and it is astronomical.
It's a number I can't describe in words.
Right. Now my wife did, and she went from being, well, you can't tell for sure, you don't know, you won't know. As soon as you read that equation off, because it wasn't even a number, it was an equation. Now this is somebody who's taken, we called it space math because me and the kids didn't understand what the heck she was even talking about. She just turned around and goes, "Oh, that's hacked." I mean, it was like unequivocal. So there is hacked Pokemon available right now.
Oh, you should also mention the area it was captured in was the Lake of Outrage, which meant this was a 6IV Pokemon, 6IV shiny Pokemon caught in the wild.
At level 50. So
I would believe... Yeah, most Pokemon, that means they didn't even beat the game yet when they found it, because it would be level 60 if they had all 8 badges.
Yeah.
Which means, okay, well, hold on then. If it caught it at level 50... is there even a point where you can catch level 50 Pokemon in the wild area? That's another thing we need to research.
I guess. Now, we do have one of our listeners in our chat room right now who's trying to make the argument that if someone found one in a den, they could have looped it endlessly. And this is true. There is exploits in the game that you could do that. It just seems like a statistical anomaly that this would be able to happen.
Well, the thing is that yours was definitely not caught in a den. That's the problem. I would be like, the chances are believable if it's from a den.
Yeah, but
they're not believable in the wild.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's definitely imported somehow, so to say. Now, I haven't seen any methods yet for how people are accomplishing this.
Oh, there's a software you can use.
Oh, is there a new one?
Yeah, it's the same one that they used for the DS. They already cracked the switch.
That's sad.
It was like weeks, like a week, and you could already hack Pokemon into your Switch.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad now. You sadden me, Duck. Do you have any glue?
Yeah.
Then I won't ask for any grapes.
what a deep reference.
Make sure you post that in the comments after the podcast.
Will do.
Okay.
We should do that song as our outro.
Oh, it's a little late now. I can't do it. maybe next week if you remind me.
Okay.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to add to the wonderful world of Pokemon this week?
No, that's about it. Sorry, it's a little short.
Well,
but
it is and it isn't. We're typically the podcast runs about an hour, and we're right about 50 minutes right now, so we're not too short.
oh, okay, cool. We started a little earlier than I thought we did.
Yeah. But you can catch the podcast each and every week. We record Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not Central, Eastern. And typically it's on Twitch. It's on twitch.tv/the_Raspberry01. If it's not there, it'll be on Facebook, but we'll make announcements as to that when and if it happens. But for the time being, we're going to stay on Twitch. You can also look up past episodes on our YouTube channel if you just search for the Mount Moon Crew, as well as our Facebook page is at Mount Moon Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at the_Raspberry01. You can find Duck on Twitter at Blue Duck Gold Duck. That is Blue Duck Gold Duck without the E, folks. No E. Get the E out. And you can listen to the audio version of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and anywhere else you usually consume podcasts anymore because our RS feed is out there somehow. Other than that, Duck, you want to just get us out of here unless you have something else to add?
No. So until next time, everybody, just remember, if it's too good to be blue, it's probably gold.
All right. Have a week, folks.
Just because your card is magic, you think you're safe because you killed my life orb. Baby, do you dare to not flinch? Cause I'm coming at you like a dark pulse. I know you're gonna throw. You're gonna throw a star. But I got that lucky chance. There's no critical hits.